Welcome to the Gunbot version 9 settings guide. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for this video, so I want to get right into it. First off, I'm just going to go through quickly some of the basic things when picking pairs for Gunbot and all of that stuff. But before I get into the video, I do just want to say, if you are interested in purchasing Gunbot, I do think this video would be very helpful to watch, as I do go over a lot of the strategies and capabilities of Gunbot, so this video should be helpful to see if it fits your needs. And also, my link in the description, the link to my website, if you are interested in purchasing Gunbot, it does help me out. Anyways, guys, let's get right into the video. First off, by just picking pairs. This is a very basic thing, but some people are still unsure of how to do it. Once again, I recommend you go on Binance or your exchange of choice. Go to the list of coins on the exchange, however that may be, and list the coins by volume. That's usually the most important thing. And what you want to do is you want to find coins that are generally uptrending or very volatile and have very high volume. Volume is very important for bots because that makes sure that the bot's orders gets filled right away without any movement or errors or anything like that. You just want to have high volume. That's sort of the best thing to have. I recommend you use anything above 300 volume. 200 is fine too. But once you get into the area of like 50 Bitcoin volume, you sort of want to stay away from that. So I would go onto Binance's page here, order it by volume, and then just find some good coins, and stay away from coins that follow Bitcoin. So an example of that would be Ethereum to Bitcoin. That's not really worth trading. But something that would be worth trading is maybe, Ripple right now. It's super volatile, lots of movement. That would be great for a bot. So once again, just volume and volatility, those are the two things you want to look for. Next, one more basic thing I want to tell you guys about. If you guys are interested in backtesting Gunbot, which means seeing how Gunbot would do in the past with your current settings, and you can get Alanster's scripts, which are super useful. This allows you to go on TradingView and input all of your Gunbot settings and then see how it would have reacted in the older market. Now, keep in mind, this does not include all of your settings such as reversal trading or double up. This is just pure strategy, so it will normally act better on the live market than it shows in the past with these scripts, but it's still very useful when tuning settings and finding settings that work for certain movements in the market. An example here would be, I really want these micro profit trades. I want a high volume of trades, but I also want my strategy to be able to get, those big movements, for example, right here. And I will talk about that more in detail in this video. But this is really useful. I highly recommend you guys get Alanster's scripts. They are free. I will leave a link in the description to those. Now, finally, let's get on to Gunbot. And I do just want to quickly outline a feature that some of you guys may not know. And I did mention it in my other video, and a lot of people were asking me questions about it. This was the recommended pairs thing that's actually now built in on Gunbot. Once you do start your Gunbot here, I will show you guys in 1 second. Once you start it, Gunbot actually lists you a few recommended pairs. I'm not saying you should follow them, but I just thought this was something cool that a lot of people didn't know about. That may help some people. Maybe you can copy these pairs, but this is actually part of a thing that Gunbot will have in the future, where Gunbot will actually automatically pick pairs for you. So here it is right here. It has this little list of recommended pairs to trade whenever you start the bot, and then you can copy those if you feel to do so. Now, finally, let's get to the strategies page of Gunbot. There is so much new stuff that has been added to Gunbot that we are going to cover today. Now, the main strategy that I'm going to be talking about is TSSL. I find TSSL to be my favorite strategy, as I really find it gets a lot of the movements and the trend swings the best for me. And now with the addition of confirming indicators, which is a new thing on Gunbot I'm going to talk about, I think TSSL is even better. So that's what I'm going to be using in this video, and that's what I'm going to be talking through when setting all of my settings. So first off, you see TSSL here. This is the strategy we're going to be using. And then you have buy and sell enabled. That's basic. Buy level, so this is a fairly basic setting. That just means a percentage below the EMA to make sure that you're not buying above a trend, to make sure you're not buying at the top of a movement. So I really just like to leave that around 0.2. That's where I find the sweet spot to be. I'm not really too sure on all of the calculations that go into finding that, but that's the most useful thing that I find to work well for me. Next, you have buy range. Buy range is the trailing stop loss. So once it hits this buy level of 0.2, then it does the buy range, where once it moves up 1.2%, then it will buy in. So what that means is, say the coin is falling and Gunbot says, okay, now it's in the buy level. Then it sees the buy range and it is waiting for it to go up 1.2% after moving downwards before entering. So this really helps trail the movements and make it so you buy once it reverses instead of buying while it's falling. So that's why I really like TSSL, because it trails a lot of the movements and you really get to get a lot of those big swings. Next, you have gains. This is the minimum profit gain that your Gunbot will be selling in order to close a position. This is something very important I'm going to talk about later. This is actually closing a position. So you're closing it for profit, and Gunbot is no longer looking to do a double up or a reversal trade on your pair. You're closing it with profit. And then sell range is the range for when it's selling. So if it's going up, then it will wait for it to go down 1% before selling. Once again, this is the same thing where it's looking to get the most amount of profit possible before selling. So if it's going up, instead of going up the second it goes up 1%, it waits for it to go down 1% in order to get the full movement. So that's the basic of TSSL. Then you have trading fees. If you're using Binance and you're using BNB to cover fees, then your fees will be lower. They will be 0.05%. And then your trading limit, this is just how much Bitcoin or USD Tether you're using per trade. Funds reserve is just the amount of funds that you want to keep in your account. So say you have your trading limit at 1 Bitcoin, but you have 3 Bitcoins in your account, and you want to keep 1 Bitcoin for yourself. Then what you can do is you can set your funds reserve to 1 Bitcoin. So your bot will only be trading 2 Bitcoin, even though there are 3 Bitcoins on your account. Next, you have period. This is important. I did recommend in one of my previous videos on TradingView to change your period to 7 or something crazy like that. Sadly, Gunbot currently only works with the standard periods of 1, 5, 15, 30, and 60 minutes. This is because of the APIs on certain exchanges. They require you to tick the exchange at certain candlestick periods which they set, and so those are the basic periods, and that's what you will have to use for Gunbot. I like to use 15 minutes because the candles are more developed whenever they're in 15-minute periods, and you tend to get better longer-term trades or trades of higher percentages of profit. You can always bump this up to 60 minutes or 30 minutes if you really want to get longer-term trades with Gunbot, but that's purely based on what you're looking to get with Gunbot. Then you have the EMA settings. I'm not even going to talk about that. That's just basic EMA. Then you have Bollinger Band settings. Once again, we are using TSSL, so it does not take into account Bollinger Bands. You can just ignore this. You can also ignore the SMA settings here and the MACD settings, actually, since you are using TSSL. So this is the important part. This is the new stuff that Gunbot has added. So these are what they call the confirming indicators. So these are really, really cool. These are indicators such as stock RSI, RSI, MFI or money flow index, and then O'Keefe's mode, which I'll talk about later, but stock RSI, RSI, and MFI are the main ones. So what these do is you can enable them, and then what they do is whenever your strategy has a buy signal, so say for example, I'm using TSSL and the coin has gone down and it's starting to go up 1%, so my TSSL is giving a buy signal. Say I have stock RSI enabled, this makes it so the stock buy level, so if you guys don't know what stock buy level is, here we are on TradingView. This is what stock RSI looks like. The stock buy level that I've set is 40. So that means anything below 40 here, my Gunbot will buy. So let's give an example here. Say this coin is going down, and then my TSSL gives a buy signal right here, and then it sees down here that the stock RSI is below 40, then it will give the buy signal. Now, if one of these are not true, so if the TSSL is not giving a buy signal and the stock RSI is below 40, it will not buy. If the TSSL is giving a buy signal and the stock RSI is above 40, then it will not buy. So what this does is it makes it so you can stack indicators together, so you can use stock RSI and TSSL when using buys or sells. And I think that's super, super useful, because then it can make you, get your settings a lot more consistent or conservative. So if you want to have, stock RSI, RSI, and MFI enabled, then you can have it so your settings only buy with a specific scenario in the market that you set. And then you can make it so, it really only buys on those small dips, and you can run like 100 pairs with those really specific settings, and then have a very, consistent gain with those settings. I think this opens up a lot of customizability with Gunbot, so I highly recommend you guys play with that. So personally, once again, I'm using 0.2 buy level, 1.2 buy range, a gain of 1.2. You can turn this down if you want more micro profit. A sell range of 1, that's what I highly recommend. The higher your sell range is, the higher of a chance you're likely to get a big move, but you don't want it to get too high. And then I'm using stock enabled for buying. So that means it will only buy if the stock is below 40 whenever the TSSL gives a buy signal. And then for stock sell level, I set that to 0, because I think the selling, I just want to have it so once the TSSL gives a sell signal, it sells. I don't really care if the stock RSI, is giving a sell signal or if it's oversold. I just want to get my profits. So that's why I'm sticking purely to the TSSL sell strategy without stock RSI. And so I set it at 0. Now, obviously, next you can use RSI. That's what I was using earlier. But I find RSI to be a little bit too conservative for me. But you can do that if you decide to do so yourself, and it works the exact same way for the buy level and the sell level. And then MFI is another indicator that you guys can try out. O'Keefe mode is a certain setting where it determines if Bitcoin has a certain movement. So if there's a spike in volume in Bitcoin, or if Bitcoin's moving too much, then it will stop trading on your bot. So it won't make any buys with your bot if you do have that enabled, and then Bitcoin starts to move a lot. I personally don't like to have that enabled. I would rather manually turn off my bot when I decide to do so, and I find that to be more effective. Now, here's the biggest decision that you'll probably have with your Gunbot life. You have the decision between double up or reversal trading. So these are two very interesting strategies that they now have on Gunbot. Let me explain them. So we have double up, which means that you will be averaging down your bags. This is the same thing as DCA on a profit trailer or any other bot that uses some sort of martingale method. So if the coin starts to move down, then it just doubles your position on that coin. So once it goes up, you'll make more profit. So you can use that if you do decide so. The descriptions for all the double up settings are on the Gunbot wiki, which I will leave in the link in the description. But personally, I do not like double up, because I find that double up is too risky for me. And whenever I want to run a bot that I can run long term, so I can just, set my Gunbot and forget about it and not have to worry about it, and it's just making trades without me worrying about losing my entire portfolio, then I like to use reversal trading a lot more. And so what reversal trading does is it actually allows Gunbot to sell for a loss, but then it enters sort of a reversal trading mode where it knows that you sold for a loss, and it's looking for a buy with the reversal trading settings. So let me explain that to you guys real quick. So first, what you're going to want to do is you want to enable reversal trading. And you don't really have to worry about RT max bag protection. You can read more about that on the wiki. But these are really the most important settings, and this is what you're going to have to find on what works the best for you. So you have RT sell buy down. So what that means is this is the percentage that the coin is going to have to fall after Gunbot buys it in order for Gunbot to sell it. So let me explain this to you guys. So say your Gunbot buys Icon at $10, and then it goes down 1% or 2%, then what will happen is RT, reversal trading, will sell it since it fell 2%, and then it will look to buy once it has gone down 4%. So it will sell at 2%, and then once it's minus 4%, it will say, okay, now I'm looking for a buy, and then that's when it will go down to these settings here. So this is what I really like to use. I like to use trailing buy for reversal trading. So this can get a little bit complicated or confusing for you guys. So trail me RT. So this means once it goes down 4%, after it's sold at 2%, then it will be looking for it to go back up 1% before buying back in. So this way, instead of doubling up your bags, you're selling for a loss, buying back at a lower price, and then considering your strategy and making profit on that trade based on your initial buy-in. So this can be really, really cool because it can be a new way to trade without having to have the risk of losing your entire portfolio with doubling up, and you can sell for a loss, buy back later at a better price, and then make profit on trades just like you would have done before. So I really like that setting. That's what I've been using. You can certainly have these more aggressive. I think the RT buy down of 4 is actually way too high. I would probably set that at 3, and then have it so it sells at 2%, buys back at 3% with the trailing sell range, or the trailing buy range, sorry. And then that will make it so it buys at once it goes up 1% after the downwards move, and then it continues trading on Gunbot. So those are my personal settings. Hopefully that was a good explanation of TSSL. You can replicate these settings on TSSL, or you can do similar changing of settings on other strategies such as BB step gain or any other strategies that you see fit. But now I'm going to talk about a new thing that they've added to Gunbot called custom. So this is super interesting. So you guys probably heard what I was talking about earlier with the confirming indicators. So these are indicators that are used in addition to the main indicators in these strategies. So if I'm using step gain, I can add stock RSI in order to confirm that stock RSI is above or below at a certain point for buying or selling. So now they have added this new setting called custom, where you can use all of these indicators. So you can use stock RSI, you can use MACD, you can use RSI, MFI in order to individually buy or sell. So for example, you can enable stock RSI, you can enable MFI, and then what that can do is you can make it so you make your own custom indicators in Gunbot. So I highly recommend you guys play around with this if you are more of an advanced user. You can really get some really interesting settings based on very specific movements in the market with your own custom indicator on Gunbot. And this actually lends itself more to a Hasbot feel on Gunbot here. I'm really seeing the direction of Gunbot going towards Hasbot because now we're getting, more overall broad indicators such as TSSL. And right now you can just add other indicators to it as almost a protection or the confirming indicators. But now we're getting custom strategies, which is almost identical to Hasbot. And what I like about Gunbot is it makes it a lot more reliable than Hasbot, at least in my experience. Because overall it's just a lot less glitchy and more reliable with my experience. So I really like to see Gunbot going in that direction, and I have heard from Gunther that in the future we might get a different GUI that really lends itself to this whole new thing of Gunbot having custom strategies available to its users. So hopefully that has been helpful. Hopefully you can now tune your TSSL settings to something that you like. Once again, make sure you use Alanster's scripts. They're super, super helpful. Obviously, once you have everything, you can go to your dashboard, start up the bot, apply any changes that you made if you were running it previously. So Gunbot is really, really awesome. I love all of the updates it has been making. It's seen really, really huge leaps since back in the day of just having Bollinger Bands trading on Gunbot. Now we're getting to the point where you can make custom strategies, add safeties with confirming indicators, and sell for a loss while still making profit in the long run. So I really like where Gunbot is headed personally. Hopefully you guys take advantage of all these settings. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully this has taught you something for Gunbot and creating profitable strategies in the future. I really think, there's a lot to do here, and you guys can probably spend hours tuning it, or you already have a strategy that you like that you can just implement into Gunbot now with all these new settings. And see you guys in the next video.